Well, with that being said, let's jump into our lead story of the day between Peter Doocy and John Kirby squaring off and going at it regarding the killing of Al-Qaeda leader, as well as Al-Qaeda and the Taliban just taking over Afghanistan. Without further ado, let's go ahead and roll the tape between the two.
John, something you just said is not consistent with what we were told last year. You're saying that you've always known there was a small number of Al-Qaeda in Afghanistan. President Biden said, what interest do we have in Afghanistan at this point with Al-Qaeda gone?
Uh-oh.
Yeah, I mean, in a major way, Al-Qaeda was not playing... no, wait, let me finish.
Did you see his response? I'm sorry. It's almost as bad as Karine Jean-Pierre. I mean, Karine Jean-Pierre is the worst. And maybe it's John Kirby and then Jen Psaki. We'll have to do a restructuring and ordering of just who is the worst at their job. But the man did not know how to answer that. I'm sure he wasn't even aware that the president even ever said something like that. But damn, Peter Doocy coming out of the gates, the gladiator, hitting him hard with that right hook.
They weren't playing a major role in operations or resourcing or planning in Afghanistan. But Peter, I know specifically because I was at a different podium a year ago, and we talked about the fact that Al-Qaeda had a presence in Afghanistan, but small and not incredibly powerful or potent. And I think, again, without getting into...
Not incredibly powerful or potent, but hell, they just took over the entire country in the matter of a few hours. Obviously, I'm being facetious. It wasn't a matter of a few hours, but damn, it was what, under a week or about 7 days, they just took over the entire country, put back in Sharia law, you know, basically took all over the women, raping and pillaging people, but they were small. They barely had anybody there. They were gone, according to the president. Unbelievable.
We would still assess that to be the case.
So we know that the Taliban was harboring the world's most wanted terrorist. You guys gave a whole country to a bunch of people that are on the FBI most wanted list. What did you think was going to happen?
I would take issue with the premise that we gave a whole country to...
Thank you. I was looking for the pause button. Thank you, for the love of God, Peter. We've been saying this exact same thing. What did you think was going to happen when you did this? And not just what you think was going to happen when you did this, but the way that you did it. I mean, literally, Biden just rolled out of bed. Somebody dialed the phone for him and said, Mr. President, here's John Kirby. Here, go ahead and execute this thing. And everybody's looking around like maybe this isn't the way to go about it. But hell, the president authorized it. Let's go ahead and do it. You got 13 American soldiers getting blown up. You left thousands of Americans in Afghanistan. You left billions of dollars of military-grade equipment. But hey, you know, we didn't know. We didn't think it was that bad. Come on.
Terrorist groups. I mean, again, I'd encourage you to ask.
The world's #1 terrorist. How is that not giving the
Look at
country to a terrorist sympathizing group? If not giving them permission to have terrorists just sit on a balcony.
The question, I mean, Peter, the way you asked that, it makes it sound like we owned Afghanistan a year ago. It wasn't our country. It was an independent sovereign state. And the president made a bold decision to end a war that had been going on for 20 years because he believed then, and still believes now, that our national security interests are best met by meeting the threats of today, not the threats of 2001. And
so he's doubling down on the execution of pulling out of Afghanistan. Our national security is doing a lot better. That you just gave terrorists an entire country. And not only did he believe it then, but he believes it now. Oh my God. I've always said the messaging from this administration is just garbage. It's absolute garbage. And he's just gonna continue to peddle this stuff to the American people and make it seem like it's nonchalant. And no biggie. It's an entire country now full of terrorists that have the potential of killing us here in our country. Oh, great.
You know, I don't want to relitigate the whole war here, but obviously no one anticipated the Ghani government to fall as fast as it did. But we said at the time that as we depart Afghanistan, we're going to keep...
Nobody expected. What are you talking about? A lot of us expected what was going to happen. And that's why we said it needed to be strategically done if you were going to do it under the Trump administration. And even Trump was aware of, hey, you know, we shouldn't leave billions of dollars of military-grade equipment there. And he was questioning, well, how are we going to do it? You had the military themselves saying, well, we should just leave it there. And Donald Trump was trying to push back on it because it's taxpayer dollars. It's our military weaponry that's being left to terrorists. So Donald Trump knew that it wasn't just a good idea to pull out just willy-nilly and just kind of go, oh, okay, well, let's just get the hell out of here. We'll leave everything there, give it to the terrorists, and just arm them so they could take over an entire country. And you got this guy here, John Kirby, saying all these things. It is content, folks, but it is absolutely batshit crazy at the same time. It is nuts that he's saying this.
Vigilant. We're going to stay ready, and we're not going to let Afghanistan become a safe haven for terrorists who threaten our homeland. And this past weekend, we proved that case precisely.
But so now that you know that the Taliban,
We're not going to allow it to be a safe haven for terrorists. I can't keep pausing it after every other word he says. We got to listen to the guy, but I can't help it. There's so much nonsense that's spewed by him and Karine Jean-Pierre that I have to pause it after every sentence because it's asinine. It is ludicrous. It's crazy. Just give us some sort of substance here, but we're not going to allow it to be a safe haven for terrorists. What are you doing this not allowing it to be a safe haven because you killed a top leader? Kudos. Yes, that is a good thing. But what about all the other guys? They're just going to replace that guy. I think he should be dead. I think he should be buried. I think he should be freaking burned alive, evaporated, not on the face of this earth. I agree that we should have killed him, but you just killing that guy doesn't remove the fact that you're literally allowing a safe haven of terrorists to run roughshod over an entire country.
Taliban is not living up to the part of the deal that they made with the U.S. to not let Afghanistan be a place that terrorists feel like they can be safe. What are you going to do about it?
Well, that gets to Peter's question. I'm not going to telegraph decisions that haven't been made or policy initiatives one way or the other. I would just say
for some spectacular terrorist attack in the U.S. to then say, oh, well, there's terrorists
if we
and
were,
a safe
Peter,
haven in Afghanistan. Now we can go get them.
If we were, Peter, then we wouldn't have taken the hit on Saturday, the strike that we took on Mr. Zawahiri, if we were just waiting. This isn't about waiting. It's about watching.
What? I'm getting kind of like George W. Bush Jr. vibes off this guy. It's not about waiting. It's about watching. Okay. If you're watching something for something to happen, isn't that waiting at the same time? Like, if I'm watching the previews of a movie, I'm kind of sitting there waiting for the movie to start. So, my God. Like I said, folks, some of these guys get paid $180,000 of taxpayer dollars. But, you know, what do they care, right? I mean, like I said, they just left billions of dollars, taxpayer dollars of military-grade equipment in Afghanistan for the terrorists. So why am I trying to rationale the paying of these great people?
And we watched very closely, and we acted on what we learned. And I would go so far as to say not only the American people are safer as a result of President Biden's decision, but the rest of the world is safer. Does that mean that the threat from al-Qaeda is over? No, of course it's not. Now, they'll have to make some decisions here, and we'll watch that too. And if we discern a threat to the American homeland again from them or any other terrorist group, the president will reserve the right to take that action again.
We're going to go around here.
Okay. All right. Well, there's John Kirby. The right hook off the beginning just phased him because he was dazed and confused and didn't know where the hell he was, kind of like Joe Biden. So Peter Doocy, he's the gladiator, you guys. The guy is a national treasure. He should have a statue of himself outside of Fox News corporate because, damn, he is obliterating this White House. And he's doing it pretty much in a respectful fashion. Now, some Democrats I could see not looking at it as a respectful way of what he's doing, interrupting, kind of pushing things. Look, that's his job. That's what reporters are supposed to do. There's a way of going about it. I think he does it perfectly because you look at kind of what CNN would do with Jim Acosta. The guy was just an a-hole. Where Peter Doocy comes across as nice. He seems like a sweet guy, family guy. You know, the way that he does it is not yelling. It's not, you know, being crazy and psycho like Jim Acosta and others at CNN. So I think he's doing great work for the American people trying to get answers out. I hope you enjoyed that clip from the Bald Brad Show. If you did, make sure to hit that subscribe button so you can stay up to date on all our future content.